It started with a simple conversation, but soon their story turned into a love that crossed every border. The night she first heard his voice, Lina was sitting alone on the small balcony of her apartment, staring at the city lights that seemed brighter than the hope inside her heart. The wind was cold, and the silence felt heavier than usual. She had always believed that love belonged to people whose lives were simple, predictable, and close to home. Never in 1,000 years did she imagine that her heart would one day travel across oceans and fall for someone from another country she had never even visited. But sometimes life quietly rewrites the plans we thought were permanent. Before we continue this emotional journey, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in kindness and second chances, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the heart. Lina was 26 years old, living in a busy city where people rushed through life as if emotions were luxuries they couldn't afford. She worked long hours at a small design studio, spending most of her days behind a computer screen creating art for other people's dreams, while quietly ignoring her own. Her past had taught her to be careful with her heart. A painful relationship years earlier had left scars she rarely talked about. Since then, she had convinced herself that love was something beautiful but dangerous, something better admired from a distance. Her evenings were usually quiet. After work, she would make tea, sit by the window, and scroll through her phone to distract herself from the loneliness she refused to admit. One night, while watching a short video online about people sharing their stories from around the world, she noticed a comment that made her pause. It was thoughtful, sincere, and strangely comforting. The comment was written by someone named Daniel. She didn't know why, but something about the way he expressed himself felt genuine. It wasn't dramatic or attention-seeking. It was simple, kind, and honest. Without thinking too much, Lina replied to his comment. At first, their conversation was casual and slow, a few messages here and there, mostly about the video they had both watched. But over the next few days, the messages continued. They talked about their hobbies, their work, and the small moments that made their days better. Then Lina discovered something surprising. Daniel lived in another country. He was thousands of miles away. The distance alone should have been enough to end the conversation politely. Lina knew how complicated long-distance connections could be, especially with someone from a completely different culture and life. But somehow, their conversations kept growing. Daniel was 30 years old and worked as a photographer. His messages often included stories about the places he visited, the people he met, and the emotions he captured through his camera. He had a way of describing the world that made even ordinary moments feel meaningful. Slowly, Lina found herself waiting for his messages. What began as casual conversation turned into something deeper. They started sharing more personal stories, childhood memories, fears about the future, and the small dreams they rarely told anyone else. For the first time in years, Lina felt heard. Daniel never rushed her to open up, but somehow she did. She told him about her past heartbreak, the way it had made her build invisible walls around her heart. She explained how she had stopped believing that someone could truly understand her. Daniel didn't try to fix her pain. Instead, he simply listened. And sometimes, being heard is more powerful than any solution. Weeks turned into months. Their conversations became part of Lina's daily life. She would wake up and check her phone, wondering if Daniel had sent a message from the other side of the world. But along with a growing connection came a quiet fear. Distance, different countries, different cultures, different lives. Lina constantly reminded herself that this wasn't realistic. She tried to convince herself that what they shared was just friendship, nothing more. But emotions don't always follow logic. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Lina received a message from Daniel that stopped her heart for a moment. He had sent a photograph. It was a sunset over the ocean, painted with soft orange and purple colors. In the corner of the image, there was a small caption. "Some sunsets make you wish someone special was standing beside you." Lina stared at the screen longer than she expected. Something inside her chest shifted. For the first time, she allowed herself to wonder what it would feel like if the distance between them didn't exist. But reality soon returned. Friends warned her about online connections. Her family questioned why she spent so much time talking to someone she had never met. Even Lina herself struggled with doubt. What if everything she felt was just an illusion created by distance and imagination? The fear grew stronger when Daniel mentioned the possibility of visiting her country someday. Lina's heart raced when she read those words. Part of her wanted to say yes immediately, but another part of her was terrified. Meeting in real life meant facing the truth. It meant risking disappointment, heartbreak, or discovering that the connection they felt online couldn't survive reality. For days, she avoided giving him an answer. During that time, she noticed something unexpected. Her life felt emptier when she tried to create distance between them. The conversations that had once brought warmth to her evenings were suddenly missing. The silence reminded her of how lonely she had been before Daniel appeared in her life. Eventually, Lina realized something important. Fear had already stolen too many opportunities from her. One quiet night, sitting once again on the same balcony where everything began, Lina opened her phone and wrote a message she had been afraid to send. She told Daniel that she was scared. Scared of the distance, scared of the unknown, scared of getting hurt again. But she also told him that their connection meant something real to her, something she didn't want to ignore. Daniel's reply came a few minutes later. He didn't promise that everything would be perfect. He didn't pretend that long-distance love would be easy. Instead, he wrote something simple. He said that some of the most meaningful journeys in life begin with uncertainty, and sometimes the only way to know if something is real is to take a step forward together. That message stayed in Lina's mind for days, and slowly, her fear began to transform into courage. Months later, Daniel finally stood in the arrivals hall of Lina's city airport, holding his camera bag and looking around nervously. The moment felt surreal for both of them. For so long, their connection had existed through screens, messages, and late-night conversations across time zones. Now reality was standing only a few steps away. When Lina saw him, something inside her heart felt calm instead of afraid. There was no dramatic moment, no perfect movie scene. Just two people smiling nervously, realizing that the connection they had built from thousands of miles away was real. In the following days, Daniel explored Lina's city with the curiosity of a traveler and the warmth of someone who genuinely cared about the person guiding him through unfamiliar streets. They visited small cafes, walked through quiet parks, and watched sunsets together that looked surprisingly similar to the photo he had once sent her. Of course, challenges still existed. Cultural differences sometimes created misunderstandings. Distance remained a reality they couldn't ignore. The future was uncertain. But something had changed inside Lina. She was no longer the person who believed love should always be safe and predictable. Sometimes love arrives from places we never expect. Sometimes it travels across borders, languages, and fears. And sometimes the heart simply recognizes what logic tries to deny. As Daniel prepared to return to his country weeks later, both of them understood that their journey was only beginning. There would be long flights, difficult decisions, and moments when distance felt overwhelming. But there would also be hope. Hope that two people from different corners of the world could build something meaningful together. Hope that love, when rooted in honesty and patience, can grow even across oceans. Before we reach the end of this story, there is one special request for you. Comment below and tell us, do you believe love can truly overcome distance and cultural differences? Your thoughts might inspire someone else who is going through a similar journey. Lina once believed her heart had closed forever after the pain she experienced years earlier, yet life had quietly proven her wrong. It had shown her that love doesn't always appear in familiar places. Sometimes it arrives from another country, another culture, another life entirely. And when it does, it reminds us that the world is much bigger than our fears. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like the video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes in love without borders, and subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us how powerful human connections can be. Because somewhere out there tonight, two people who have never met yet might be changing each other's lives, one message at a time.